I would like to be the first to welcome Dr. Kimbro to the podium, and thank you, sir, for being here.
Thanks.
You're up.
That was quick. I bring you greetings from my school, Clark Atlanta University School of Business, where I am a faculty member. For those you haven't heard about our grand institution, consolidation of two storied schools, Atlanta University, founded in 1865, the oldest black graduate school in the country. Clark College, founded in 1869. On the left, Spelman College, founded in 1881. On the right, 1867, Morehouse College, founded in the basement of a church in Augusta, Georgia. But 41 acres in the middle. Ladies and gentlemen, I can say with all pride, sincerity, and humility, down our halls walk some of the sharpest business students in the country. I'm gonna jump off the menu simply because I shared this story yesterday and I haven't told in a while. People ask me all the time, how in the world did you get Napoleon Hill's name on your book? Is that the original or is that a makeup? I said, wait a minute, time out. When I got my fancy PhD degree from Northwestern University, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I certainly knew what I didn't want to do. Many of my colleagues that finished from Northwestern with that sheepskin, they couldn't wait to run out to go to Washington, D.C., work for one of the federal administration departments. Some of them couldn't wait to go to Wall Street. They were going to make a killing in the stock market. I'm not knocking that, but that wasn't for me. Ironically, I didn't want to go the corporate route. Though I did work in corporate America, undergrad, University of Oklahoma, first job I ever had, Texas Instruments, Dallas, Texas. From there, after I got my PhD, I was the first African-American male in the LPD program, Smith, Kline & French Pharmaceuticals. And number three, I didn't even want to teach. What in the world do you do when you've got those three letters, PhD, at the end of your name? But all I wanted to do, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to find the answers to two questions. Before I make my transition and see the Almighty and see my Maker, somebody was going to give me and provide me the answers to two questions. Question number one, why is one person rich and wealthy while another is impoverished? And number two, why does one individual succeed while another fails? So what did I know? I carved out a list of 50 individuals at the time, black men and women, who not only wrote their name on the tablet of success, they climbed the back stairs of success. They didn't know me, but I certainly knew them. And I was going to meet them and interview them at point blank range, trying to ascertain the answers to those two questions. Well, I started out with a list of 50 individuals. And that list grew from 50 to 100. From 100 to 150, you name them, and I probably interviewed them. Well, I was up in New York and I interviewed Earl Graves, the publisher of Black Enterprise magazine. Spent about 3 hours with him, caught the plane, went back to my Atlanta home, and when I got back to my Atlanta home, there was a message on my recorder. And who was it? None other than W. Clement Stone. For those of you who do not know who W. Clement Stone was in the 1970s, he was one of the wealthiest individuals in this country. He made his money, Combined Insurance Company of America. In 1952, he had a net worth of more than $100 million. You're talking about economics and statistics. Oh my God, you do the math. At the time, he was the president of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. For those of you who do not know who Napoleon Hill was, by far America's most prolific self-help writer. Here was a white gentleman born in Wise County, Virginia. Napoleon Hill wrote 16 books in his lifetime. You can go to a bookstore, B. Dalton's, Walden's, Books, wherever, Borders, and you can buy 6 of his books right now. He spent 20 years of his life at the urge and at the request of Andrew Carnegie. Andrew Carnegie, at the time, Napoleon Hill was a young journalist. When he met Andrew Carnegie, Carnegie gave him the opportunity of a lifetime. He said, young man, if you were given the opportunity to spend 20 years of your life interviewing the most notable and celebrated entrepreneurs of our time, a list of 500 individuals, from Charles Goodyear to Harvey Firestone, to Thomas Edison, to Marshall Field, to Charles Schwab. Would you do it? He didn't know at the time that Andrew Carnegie in his pocket vest had a stopwatch. He put the watch behind him and he timed Napoleon Hill. Supposedly it took Hill 11 seconds to say yes. And I was told when I met W. Clement Stone that Andrew Carnegie had asked more than 50 individuals that same question. Hill was the first one to say yes. Well, when I met W. Clement Stone, I returned his phone call. The message on my recorder is, young man, we heard about you. When can you come to Chicago? I would like to meet you. Why? Because when I was going around the country interviewing successful African-American men and women, hey, got a little celebrity. I was writing articles. I had an article in AJC, Success Magazine, got a little name recognition, and I was so far from completing this book. It was somewhat seminal in nature. Well, I returned the phone call, borrowed the money, as I always did, not only for the lodging, for the hotel, but for my airfare, and there I am in the suburbs of Chicago. And I meet W. Clement Stone and his staff. I go to his palatial office, Lake Forest, Illinois. He's sitting behind a big mahogany desk, bright flowered bow tie, smoking a Havana cigar, pencil mustache, black hair, slick back. He extends his hand out to me. He says, young man, you're not the first person to go around this country interviewing successful African Americans. I said, I'm not. He said, no. He said, Napoleon Hill was doing this at the time of his death. I said, what do you mean? And he reached across his desk, went into his credenza, pulled out the last 100 written pages of Napoleon Hill, dropped it in my lap. At the time of his death, Napoleon Hill was working on a book entitled Blacks Are Growing Rich. It was a black version of his all-time classic, Think and Grow Rich, published in 1937, at last count more than 16 million copies. He said, we got a proposition for you. I said, what do you mean, Mr. Stone? We want you to complete, finish, and update this book. I said, what book? He said, the book on your lap.